The rain lashed against the windows of the Golden Fork, Adrian Cross's flagship restaurant. Tonight, disguised in a beanie and jacket, he was just another customer, trying to understand why his creation felt hollow. Two teenagers in a corner booth caught his attention. "Do you think he'll even show up?" one whispered, fear lacing his voice. "He has to," the other snapped. "Mom said this is where he always comes. If we don't find him tonight..." Adrian's heart lurched. What were they talking about? Who was he? He strained to listen. What if he doesn't care? Like he ignored Mom. He won't. Not if we make him listen. Mom said he ruined everything, the second boy muttered. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be living like this. Ruined everything. The words hit Adrian like a physical blow. Who had he hurt so deeply? He couldn't shake the feeling they were talking about him. He approached their table, forcing a casual tone. "Hey," he said. "Couldn't help but overhear. Looking for someone." The boys froze, their eyes a mix of defiance and fear. "We're looking for Adrian Cross." The older one glared. "Do you know him?" Adrian's breath caught. "Yeah," he managed to say. "I know him." "Why?" The older boy's eyes narrowed. "Because he ruined our mom's life. She used to work for him, and he destroyed her career. Now we're stuck in this crappy apartment, and it's all his fault." Adrian felt a cold dread grip him. "What's your mom's name?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Clara," the older boy spat. "Clara Bennett. Chapter 2*. Clara Bennett." The name slammed into Adrian. Years ago, Clara, a talented chef, had abruptly left the Golden Fork. He'd never known why. Now, the weight of their accusation crushed him. "I need to talk to your mom," he said, his voice firm. "Can you take me to her?" After a tense silence, the older boy nodded grudgingly. "Fine, but if you hurt her again, I swear..." Adrian cut him off. "I just want to make things right." The apartment complex was run down, a stark contrast to the opulence of the Golden Fork. Clara opened the door, her face etched with shock. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. "I came to apologize," Adrian said, his voice steady. "Your boys told me what happened. I had no idea, Clara. I swear, if I'd known that you were stealing my recipes, that you were blacklisting me from every restaurant in the city." Clara's voice was sharp, laced with years of bitterness. "You knew exactly what you were doing. Don't pretend otherwise." Adrian's stomach twisted. Had he really been so blind? So focused on success that he crushed her dreams? "Clara, I never stole your recipes, and I certainly didn't blacklist you. I thought you left because you wanted to pursue other opportunities." Clara laughed, a hollow, painful sound. "Other opportunities? You made sure there were no other opportunities. You took credit for my work. And when I confronted you, you made sure no one would hire me. I had to leave the industry entirely, Adrian. Do you have any idea what that did to me? To my family?" Adrian was reeling. "Clara, I'm so sorry," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I didn't realize. I never meant to hurt you." Chapter 3*. Clara's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away. "It's too late for apologies, Adrian. The damage is done." "It's not too late," Adrian insisted. "Let me make it right. Come back to the Golden Fork. I'll give you the credit you deserve. I'll make sure the world knows how talented you are." Clara hesitated, her emotions warring on her face. "I don't know if I can trust you," she said finally. "You don't have to," Adrian replied. "But give me a chance to prove that I'm serious. Please." After a long silence, Clara nodded slowly. "Fine, but this isn't forgiveness, Adrian. This is a second chance. Don't waste it." Clara's return was met with skepticism from some staff, excitement from others. Adrian worked to support her, giving her complete creative control over a new menu. Slowly, cautiously, the tension between them eased. One evening, as the restaurant buzzed, Clara stood by the stove, a small smile on her lips. "What's so funny?" Adrian asked. I was just thinking about how far we've come, she said. If you told me a month ago I'd be back here, working with you. Adrian chuckled. Honestly, neither would I. But I'm glad you're here. The place feels complete now. Clara nodded, her expression thoughtful. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Then, disaster struck. A renowned food critic, known for her brutal reviews, booked a table for the following week. Fear returned to Clara's eyes. What if I mess up? She whispered to Adrian. What if I'm not good enough? You are, Adrian said firmly, placing a hand on her shoulder. And I'll be right there with you, every step of the way. But he could see the doubt still lurking in her eyes. He knew more than ever that he had to prove himself to her, not just as a colleague, but as a man she could truly trust. The critic's arrival loomed, a test of their newfound partnership, and the lingering question remained. Could Adrian truly redeem himself? Chapter 4 *. The night of the critic's visit was chaotic. The kitchen was a pressure cooker, every movement amplified. Just as Clara was plating her signature dish, a delicate seared scallop with saffron risotto, disaster struck. A bottle of truffle oil shattered, ruining the risotto. We're out of saffron, Clara whispered, her face paling. What do we do? Adrian's mind raced. He glanced at the clock. Less than 10 minutes. Improvisation was their only option. We adapt, he said, grabbing herbs and Parmesan. Trust me, they create a new risotto, infused with rosemary and thyme, finished with a generous shaving of Parmesan. A risky move. The next morning, the review was published. Adrian and Clara gathered the staff, holding their breath. The Golden Fork is a revelation, someone read aloud. Under Adrian Cross and the brilliant Clara Bennett, this restaurant has transformed. The seared scallops with rosemary Parmesan risotto were a masterpiece. Clara Bennett is a name to watch. Cheers erupted. Clara stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. We did it, she whispered, turning to Adrian. We actually did it. Adrian pulled her into a hug. No, Clara, you did it. The Golden Fork soared. Clara's confidence bloomed. She suggested opening a second, smaller restaurant. Our vision, she insisted. Months later, the Silver Spoon opened. It was Clara's creation, her heritage celebrated in every dish. The opening was a star-studded success. As Clara stood in the spotlight, Adrian watched from the sidelines, a proud smile on his face that he had come a long way. Clara had taught him the true meaning of success, not in accolades, but in connections. Years later, the Golden Fork and the Silver Spoon thrived, united by the bond between Adrian and Clara. They were more than partners. They were family. As they watched the next generation take the reins, Adrian realized his journey wasn't about erasing the past, but about building a future where talent was valued and second chances were real. He had finally found his redemption, not through ambition, but through genuine connection and selfless support. Okay, challenge accepted. Let's go for the longer, more detailed version. I'll focus on expanding the internal thoughts, emotional nuances, and sensory details to create a truly immersive experience for the reader. Here's another attempt at Chapter 2, aimed for maximum length and depth. Clara, I'm so sorry, Adrian whispered, the words barely audible above the hum of the refrigerator in the cramped apartment. The stale scent of day-old takeout hung in the air, a stark contrast to the crisp, vibrant aromas that once permeated the kitchen of the Golden Fork. He could see the regret etched on his face, the lines around his eyes deeper than he remembered, mirroring the weariness in his own soul. He hadn't realized the extent of the damage until this very moment, standing in this small, forgotten corner of the city. I didn't see. I was so focused on the restaurant, on building something. I never meant to hurt you like this, Clara. Truly. Clara's gaze was like chipped ice, cold, sharp, and unforgiving. She hadn't said a word since opening the door, her silence more damning than any accusation. Now! Her lips finally parted, a ghost of a sad smile playing on them. Meant to, she echoed, her voice raspy, as if in use for a long time. Intentions are a luxury, Adrian. You might not have meant to crush my career, to steal my recipes, to erase me from the narrative. But ambition has a way of steamrolling over everything in its path, doesn't it? Especially when that ambition is fueled by ego and a thirst for recognition. She swept her hand around the modestly furnished living room, encompassing the worn furniture, the faded photographs on the walls, the overall feeling of quiet desperation. This, Adrian, is what your success looks like. This is what we lost because you needed to be the star. Adrian's chest tightened with a guilt so profound it felt like a physical weight. He longed to rewind time, to make different choices, to shield Clara from the fallout of his ambition. But the past was a locked door, and all he could do was stand here and face the consequences. I know I can't undo what's done, Clara. I can't erase the years of hard work you poured into the Golden Fork, only to have your contributions minimized, your talent overshadowed. But I want to try to make amends. I want to give you back what I took, the recognition, the opportunity, the respect you deserve. He paused, his gaze locking with hers, searching for a flicker of hope, a sign that reconciliation was even possible. I want you to come back to the Golden Fork, Clara. The silence that followed was thick and heavy, punctuated only by the distant wail of a siren. Clara's breath hitched slightly, surprise and suspicion warring in her eyes. Her older son, Jake, a young man with a protective air about him, stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on his mother's arm. The gesture spoke volumes about the bond they shared, about the struggles they had faced together in the years since Adrian had risen to fame. "Don't listen to him, Mom," Jake warned, his voice low and laced with resentment. "He's just playing with you. He'll say whatever you want to hear to get what he wants. He'll only hurt you again, I know it." Clara raised a hand, silencing her son with a weary look. Her gaze remained fixed on Adrian, dissecting him, searching for the truth beneath the carefully crafted words. "Back to the Golden Fork?" she repeated, the question laced with incredulity. "After everything that's happened? After you took my ideas, my passion, my future, and claimed it as your own?" Her voice trembled slightly, betraying the years of suppressed anger and hurt. "After you let me fade into obscurity while you basked in the spotlight?" "Yes," Adrian said firmly, his voice resonating with a newfound resolve. "I'm offering you complete creative control. Your name on the menu, your recipes celebrated, your vision brought to life. The restaurant will be a tribute to your talent, to your genius. The recognition that was stolen from you will finally be yours. The world will know that it was your talent, your culinary artistry that made the Golden Fork great." Clara's expression remained unreadable, a mask of skepticism and guarded hope. "And what's in it for you, Adrian? What's the catch? You're not exactly known for your selfless acts. There's always a price, isn't there? What do you expect in return?" Adrian swallowed hard, the words catching in his throat. "The price is facing my past," he admitted, his voice raw with honesty and vulnerability. "The price is acknowledging the damage I've caused, the hurt I've inflicted. The truth is, Clara, I realize that success isn't about Michelin stars or rave reviews or packed dining rooms. It's about integrity, about respecting talent, about giving credit where credit is due, about righting the wrongs I've committed." He paused, his voice softening, becoming almost pleading. "It's about trying to earn back your forgiveness, Clara. It's about finally setting things right." The air crackled with tension, thick with the weight of unspoken words and unresolved emotions. The silence stretched on, amplifying the sound of their breathing, the pounding of Adrian's heart. After what seemed like an eternity, Clara let out a shaky breath, the first sign of vulnerability he had seen since he arrived. I don't know what to say, Adrian. This is a lot to take in. I need time to think. A lot of time." "Of course," Adrian replied, his tone gentle and understanding. "I don't expect you to make a decision right away. Take all the time you need, Clara. Process everything, weigh the pros and cons, Consider what's best for you and Jake." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card, his fingers slightly trembling. "Here's my number. It's always on. Call me whenever you're ready. Call me if you have questions. Call me if you need to yell at me. Call me if you just need someone to listen. And call me whatever you decide." He turned and walked towards the door, the weight of the encounter pressing down on him. As he stepped out onto the bustling street, the sounds of the city, the honking cars, the chattering pedestrians, the distant strains of music seemed to amplify the silence within him. He knew he'd set something in motion, but whether it would lead to redemption, to forgiveness, or to further heartbreak remained to be seen. As he walked away from the apartment, leaving Clara to grapple with her decision, he couldn't shake the feeling that his entire future, his reputation, his very soul now hinged on her choice. The fate of the Golden Fork, the chance for him to atone for his past, all rested in Clara's hands. And he knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that the stakes had never been higher. The aroma of street food, usually so enticing, now felt like a mocking reminder of what he had lost, and what he desperately hoped to regain. "Okay, I understand." Simpler language, more conversational tone. Here's a revised Chapter 3, aiming for that. The feeling that everything was on the line stuck with Adrian like glue. He walked around the city, not really seeing anything, his head just spinning. He kept picturing all the ways this could go wrong or right. Could Clara actually forgive him? He knew he deserved a good yelling at. But the idea of losing her completely, of her and her kids having a tough life because of him, was just awful. He couldn't focus at the Golden Fork. The kitchen buzzing, people laughing, the smell of good food, it all felt distant, like he was watching a movie. He was short with the staff, couldn't eat, and tossed and turned all night, dreaming about Clara's angry face and the restaurant falling apart. He kept going over their talk in his head, picking apart every word, trying to figure out if he'd said the right thing. Had he pushed too hard? Not hard enough? Had he scared her off completely? Finally, after what felt like forever, his phone rang. He didn't recognize the number, and his heart skipped a beat. He almost didn't answer. His hand was shaking so bad. "Hello," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Adrian?" It was Clara. She sounded unsure. His heart jumped. "Clara, thank goodness. I thought you disappeared." He stopped himself. Too much, too soon. "How are you doing?" he asked, trying to sound normal. "I'm thinking," she said. "Been doing a lot of thinking. About what you said. About what happened, about everything." Adrian held his breath. "And," he asked softly, "I'm willing to think about your offer," she said carefully. "But there are a few things." He could have done a happy dance right there. "Anything," he said, meaning it. "Tell me." "First," she said, her voice getting a little harder, "I get to run the show. You don't tell me what to do. You don't question my decisions, and you definitely don't try to take credit for anything. This is my chance, and if you try to boss me around, I'm out." "Got it." "Crystal clear," Adrian said. "It's your thing, Clara. I'm just there to help." "Second," she went on, "my kids. They come first. I need to be able to be a mom and do this. So, if I need to leave to pick them up from school, or if they're sick and I need a day off, that's it. No arguing." "No problem at all," Adrian said. "Family always comes first. And last," she said quietly, "trust. I need to be able to trust you, Adrian, that you won't stab me in the back again, that you won't use me to make yourself look good, that you actually believe in me." That was a big one. He knew it. Earning her trust wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't something he could just say and have it be true. He had to show her every single day. "I get it," he said honestly. "And I promise, Clara, I'll do everything I can to earn your trust. I know I messed up before, but I swear I won't hurt you again. I believe in you, Clara. I always have. And I want to see you shine." The line was silent for a long time. Adrian could practically hear his own heart pounding. Finally, Clara spoke, her voice softer now. "Okay," she said. "Okay, Adrian. Let's do it." Relief washed over him like a tidal wave. "Thank you, Clara," he said, his voice shaky. "Thank you for giving me this shot. I won't let you down." "Don't," she said, her voice a little sharper again. "Because if you do, you'll be sorry." Message received. He knew what was at stake. "So," Clara said, her voice sounding stronger now, "when do I start?" Adrian grinned, a real smile for the first time in days. "How about tomorrow?" he said. "We've got a lot to do." "Tomorrow?" Clara repeated, a hint of nervousness creeping into her voice. "That's soon." "The sooner the better," Adrian said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "We need to get the word out, create a buzz, and let people know the Golden Fork is back and better than ever." The next morning, Clara arrived at the Golden Fork, dressed in her chef whites, her eyes shining with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The kitchen was a familiar yet foreign place, filled with gleaming stainless steel, buzzing appliances, and the lingering scent of spices. The staff, initially wary and unsure, watched her with a mixture of curiosity and respect. Adrian introduced her as the new executive chef, emphasizing her talent and her vision for the restaurant. He made it clear that she was in charge and that everyone was to support her in any way possible. Some of the staff were openly enthusiastic, remembering Clara from her previous stint at the Golden Fork and admiring her skills. Others were more reserved, unsure of how to navigate the new dynamic. Clara, however, took charge with quiet confidence. She reviewed the menu, tasted the sauces, and inspected the ingredients, her sharp eyes missing nothing. She spent the next few days experimenting with new dishes, refining old favorites, and training the staff to execute her vision. Adrian stayed out of her way, offering support and encouragement from the sidelines. He made sure she had everything she needed, from the finest ingredients to the best equipment. He listened to her ideas, offered suggestions when asked, and praised her accomplishments. He was determined to earn her trust, to prove that he was truly committed to her success. The grand reopening of the Golden Fork was a resounding success. The restaurant was packed, the atmosphere was electric, and the food was exquisite. Clara's innovative dishes, infused with her unique blend of flavors and techniques, earned rave reviews from critics and diners alike. As the night wore on, Clara's nervousness faded, replaced by a sense of pride and accomplishment. She moved through the kitchen with grace and authority, orchestrating the chaos with a steady hand. She smiled, laughed, and joked with the staff, her warmth and passion infectious. Adrian watched her from across the dining room, his heart swelling with admiration. He had never seen her so radiant, so confident, so alive. He realized that he hadn't just given her a second chance. She had given him one too. But the real test came a few weeks later, when a prominent food blogger, known for her scathing reviews, made a reservation at the Golden Fork. Fear gripped Clara once again. What if she couldn't live up to the hype? What if she failed? Adrian reassured her, reminding her of her talent and her passion. He told her to trust her instincts, to cook from the heart, and to let her food speak for itself. The night of the blogger's visit, the kitchen was a pressure cooker of anxiety and anticipation. Clara worked tirelessly, meticulously preparing each dish with precision and care. Just as she was about to send out the blogger's main course, disaster struck. A power outage plunged the kitchen into darkness. Panic threatened to overwhelm Clara. But then she took a deep breath, and a glimmer of an idea sparked in her mind. She grabbed a flashlight and directed the staff to light candles throughout the restaurant. In the soft, flickering light, the atmosphere transformed, becoming intimate and romantic. She then created a special dish, a simple yet elegant pasta dish with fresh herbs and garlic, cooked over a portable gas stove. The blogger was charmed by the unexpected turn of events and raved about the food, the atmosphere, and Clara's ingenuity. The next day, the blogger's review was published, praising the Golden Fork as a culinary gem and Clara as a rising star. The restaurant's popularity soared, and Clara's name became synonymous with innovation and excellence. Over the next few years, the Golden Fork thrived, becoming one of the most acclaimed restaurants in the city. Clara's success attracted attention from all over the world, and she received numerous awards and accolades. But for Clara, the greatest reward was not the fame or the fortune, but the sense of fulfillment in the knowledge that she had finally achieved her dreams. And for Adrian, the greatest reward was not the success of the Golden Fork, but the knowledge that he had helped Clara achieve her dreams, and that he had finally earned her trust and respect. One evening, as they stood side by side in the bustling kitchen, watching the staff prepare for another busy night, Clara turned to Adrian and smiled. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with gratitude, "for believing in me, for giving me a second chance, for helping me make my dreams come true." Adrian smiled back, his heart overflowing with happiness. "Thank you, Clara," he said, "for teaching me the true meaning of success." And as they looked out at the thriving restaurant, filled with happy diners and talented staff, they knew that they had created something truly special, something that would last a lifetime. They had built more than just a restaurant. They had built a partnership, a friendship, and a legacy. And they had finally found their happy ending together